What's up, guys? Welcome to Church Online. We are so excited to be with you today, and we're going to worship God, but this is not a performance. Wherever you are, we want you to worship with us. Lift your hands, clap, and sing with us as we celebrate our God. You guys ready? Come on. Come on, let me see you. I want you to sing this out with me. Before there was life, you were seated on high. From there you spoke, we were already on your mind. Can't explain your love without performance. You called us your own, couldn't afford. So with your blood you bought our freedom. Can't explain your love. You are ruler of everything. Come on, sing it out. Worthy of all that we could bring. You are great, Jehovah. All power is yours. Come on, sing this out. Without performance, you called us your own, couldn't afford. So with your blood you bought our freedom. Can't explain your love. So grateful that you are our God. You've spoken blessings over our lives, that you are with us and you are for us. So we receive that today. Yes, Lord. The Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon and be gracious be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. Oh, so amen, 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 amen. Come on, declare this. The Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. Oh, Jesus. We sing this out. Amen. 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 We declare it today. Amen. 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 Come on, lift it up. We sing. Amen. 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 We stand on your word. Amen. 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 We believe your word, God. We receive it today. By faith, we believe it so.
Come on, declare this. May his favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family, and your children, and their children, and their children. May his favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family, and your children, and their children, and their children. May his favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family, and your children, and their children, and their children. May his favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family, and your children, and their children, and their children. Come on. May his presence go before you and behind you and beside you, all around you and within you. He is with you. He is with you in the morning, in the evening, and you're coming and you're going and you're weeping and rejoicing. He is for you. 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 He is for you.
Well, hey church, my name is Matt. I am the location pastor of our Northeast location. And as you know, we have been in a season of prayer and fasting. We intentionally each week give up something different as we seek God in this season. And this week I want to invite you to join us as we're going to partake in a Daniel fast. And what that is essentially where we focus on primarily eating vegetables and fruit. And we can learn about this fast in the book of Daniel, where Daniel and his men intentionally eat this way as they seek God as to make their bodies healthy and their minds clear. There are a lot of resources online where you can find out more about what goes into doing the Daniel fast, but I want to invite you, wherever you are, to join us in fasting this week as we seek God for him to move in our city and in through our world. And here in a moment, we're going to pray together, and I want you to pray with me. Now, this prayer we're going to make available on social media, and I want to encourage you, pray this every day with your family, but right now, where you're seated, I want you to join me and repeat this prayer after me as we together pray as the church. Right now, repeat after me, say, Jesus, you are our portion. All power is yours. And we receive your grace over disappointment, grief and fear, failure and anger. Less of us, more of you. We trust that as we put in less of the world and its insufficiencies, we'll experience more of you and your sure promises. We are in love with you and the grace that you've offered us. We receive it by faith right now. Amen. Amen. Can we give God a praise for what he's doing, for what's to come? I want to encourage you to pray that prayer all week. But right now, I want to invite you, stay tuned and check out some of the things that we have coming up.
Hey everyone, my name is Grace. I'm the location pastor in Fort Richmond. And if you are new to the Block Church and want to connect with us or know more about who we are, or if you have a prayer request you'd like to share with us, email us at info@theblockchurch.org. We've launched a new online platform. I think it's the best interactive experience you can have. There's live chat. You can request and receive prayer right there and connect more with each other. So we hope that you'll check it out. Starting this Wednesday, we will now have a midweek service every Wednesday, 7 p.m. on our online platforms. And we hope that you plan to join us. This Wednesday, I get to kick it off and preach the message. Can't wait to see you there. As we prepare to give, we'll hear a word from our lead pastor in just a moment as he preaches the word, but he would like to share a special message with you around our offering today.
Hey everyone, it's Joey, and I recognize it is unprecedented times in our nation and in our world, and I want to take a moment and talk to you about something that's extremely important, but also sensitive, but it needs to be said. Please understand, over the last few days, as we've experienced this shutdown of sorts in our nation, we've gotten a lot of benevolence requests. Those are requests for people who need help with things like their mortgage or their light bill, or they've just been laid off or whatever it is. And we recognize that over this season, for however long it's gonna be, we're gonna keep getting those requests, and we want them to keep coming. We're not gonna be able to meet every single need, but I want you to know we are doing everything we can to meet the needs that we can meet. But I also wanna remind all of those who are still working to continue giving. The scriptures never lead us to think that when our world is in a downturn or when our economy is struggling or whatever's happening, that we're still not faithful to God. Again, if you are working, I want to encourage you and remind you, you have a responsibility to continue to be faithful to God through your giving. Why? Not only are we being obedient to the Lord, but in a time like this where there is uncertainty, no better time to lean into God. No better time to trust Him like never before. We are not in the world's economy. We are in God's economy. And so it might look bleak, but God is still faithful and He can still do miracles. This is not a time to shrink back in fear. This is a time to lean in and trust God and let God use you like never before. The best way that you can help our church and care for our community is that if you're still working, you're still giving faithfully, because we can then reach more needs together than apart. I understand how some of this works, right? We're in church on Sundays, we're gathered together, the offering illustration goes out, we're worshiping, we feel the presence of God. It's easy to text to give, right? But we don't have that right now. And so while that's appearing on the screen and you have many options to give, I think the best way for you to stay faithful is to set up reoccurring giving. If you have not set up reoccurring automated giving, I think now's the time to do it so that you don't forget, so that when we're not gathering on Sunday, you've not forgotten and you're still able to meet needs and see God work miracles in your life. So I want to encourage you, do that, best way to give. Furthermore, I want to encourage you again why we're doing this. We're trying to help meet needs. We are ramping up our ministry to those in our community and to those in our church. Furthermore, we still have great ministry to do as a church. We still have a few rents to pay during this time. And I don't want to have to lay off any staff in this season. I believe that when we get back together, we are going to explode, and we need everybody when we do it. And so people have to be our priority in this season. And as we give faithfully, we're able to do that. Guys, I love you. I think the best days are ahead. God's with us. Lean in this season and watch him work miracles in your life and in our church. Thank you. God bless you. Do you sit with a lot of people that you wouldn't have sat with? Are you really a Christian? I mean, that's the question, because if you're not dining with differences, you're not really taking communion, and you're not really walking a life with Christ. If you and I vote differently and you throw me out because of who I vote for, are we really dining with differences? Are we really taking communion? Like if I throw somebody out just because they think different or had a different cultural experience than me, I'm not saying we can't debate lovingly or have appropriate or good conversations, but like if we throw each other out, are we really doing what Jesus did? Are we? Because the last I checked, that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. While I hated him, while I was prejudiced towards him, while I didn't want him, he invited me to eat bread at his table. Are we really taking communion if we're not dining with differences? Well, welcome everybody to Church Online. We're so glad you're here. Come on, let's welcome everybody watching. Hey, my name is Joey. I have the privilege of being the lead pastor here at the Block Church, and we're so thrilled that you decided to join us. Listen, when all of this ends, I want to remind you, we have physical gatherings that meet across the city. We're one church in multiple locations, reviving our city one block at a time. We have a location in Port Richmond, in the Northeast, in Center City, and then we are launching our Passyunk location as soon as possible. So when all this ends, we invite you to join us. Now, today we're excited because we've now launched our Church Online platform, and there are hosts in our Church Online platform that are available to you if you have questions. If you want to fill out a connection card, they'll put a link in there. If you need prayer, want to take notes, all of that stuff is there and available to you. And also next week, I'm going to be revealing and sharing our new way of doing church, how to serve, how to get involved, how we're going to do kids ministry, and all these different ways. So it's really important for you to also tune in next week as we share kind of our new form of doing church. All right? All right, well, we're continuing our series we started a couple weeks ago called Soul Cleanse. And the purpose of this series is that we would cleanse out, detox our souls as we prepare for Easter, as we draw near to God, as we're in a season of fasting and prayer, and no better time in our world than right now to be fasting and praying. And so Soul Cleanse, that's what we're doing. And I've just been thinking about all the anti-cleansing we're probably doing right now during our time of quarantine. And like I saw this meme the other day of this little fat baby, and it was like me after I've eaten all my quarantine snacks after like one day, you know, and like I'm trying so hard, but this is not the time to dive into carbs and sugars. Come on, somebody, okay? Let's stay skinny in the middle of the quarantine, all right? And but also laughing, this kind of made me laugh also. So like there's a meme going around that like there's going to be so many babies that come from this time right now because there's nothing to do, which is why I've titled my message today, Quarantined and Chill. Quarantined and Chill. Now, that's not me giving you permission, of course, if you're not married, but if you want to help grow the church when we come back, good time to build our communities. I had a friend, when anything would ever go bad, okay, he would always say this line. He'd like, life sucks, and then you die. I know, it's like, oh man, you had a tough life, like whatever. And it was kind of funny, and then sometimes I would say it, but like, I was like, dude, what like, where is that coming from? Like, should you get maybe counseling or whatever? He's like, it's kind of a joke, but like, whenever you're hurt, you kind of try to cover yourself, and you make these drastic statements. But also, I kind of think about this, and I know it's a weird like connection, but he's like, I kind of think about what Paul said in Philippians. And he says this, he says, for to me, to live is Christ, which means he's my source of joy, my reason to live. And also to die is gain, for I'll be with him in eternity. And I kind of think about the craziness of this season, and some of us kind of going crazy on day 2 or 3 or 4, and like here's what's about to happen to some of us. 3, 4, 5 days of this quarantine and time away from work and school and time with your kids who are making you crazy. What might happen after you watch your 45th Netflix film is you might begin to start feeling a little bit anxious. What am I doing with my life? What's happening? Like I'm stressed, I'm worried. How am I going to provide? All these different feelings, the anxiousness of just being chill. But I want you to know something today, wherever you are. You can be quarantined and you can also be chill. And you can overcome the anxiousness, the anxieties, the fears. Like you can actually enjoy this time and make it productive. You can actually offer something back to your community and your family in this time for however long it is. You can be quarantined and you can be chill. You can be relaxed about it. And you can also be productive. Now, I want to preach today, and I'll try to be shorter than normal since we're online. And I know so many of you were so upset when I said that it would be shorter, but for all the babies and things running around and all the distractions, I'll do my best. But I was just thinking about Peter under great pressure. And he writes 1 Peter 1, and I'll read it in a moment. He writes it under great pressure. He's writing to the scattered church who's in Asia Minor, and they're getting ready to be under great persecution from Nero. Peter, as he writes this, shortly thereafter, he's going to be martyred as well, hung on a tree upside down. But he writes this, and I think it's fascinating. He says, all praise to God, the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. It is by his great mercy. Just whisper that to yourself, mercy. That we have been born again because God raised Jesus Christ from the dead. Now we live with great expectation. Come on, you got to catch that. Great expectation. And we have a priceless inheritance. An inheritance that is kept in heaven for you, those who receive mercy. Pure and undefiled beyond the reach of change and decay. I know the world is upside down, and I know minute by minute with this virus things are changing, but you and I, if we call ourselves believers, we have an inheritance that is undefiled and pure beyond change and decay. And through your faith, God is protecting you by his power until you receive this salvation, which is ready to be revealed on the last day for all to see. Isn't that good? Peter starts off this idea of an expectation and inheritance by using the word mercy. And I think he uses the word mercy because for him, he received a lot of it. Remember, Peter was rebuked by Jesus in front of people. Peter denied Jesus in Jesus' most important moment of need. Peter's cutting off ears. He's getting rebuked by Paul. There's all sorts of things happening in Peter's life. He struggled. But I think as Peter's life progresses and Jesus really leans on him to be the building piece of his church, it reminded me of what Spurgeon said, and I think it's fascinating. He goes, all God's goodness to us begins with mercy. No other attribute could have helped us had mercy been refused. As we are by nature, justice condemns us, holiness frowns upon us, power crushes us, truth confirms the threatening of the law, and wrath fulfills it. It is mercy from God that our hopes begin. In other words, without mercy, we would be crushed. And when you think about Peter's life, he goes from glory to glory because he experienced grace upon grace, mercy and mercy. Right? I mean, Peter, he confesses Jesus more boldly and accurately than any other disciple. Look at the dichotomy there. He walks on water. He experienced the transfiguration. He writes this book of the Bible. In fact, Peter is mentioned in the Gospels more than anybody except Jesus. Look what mercy can do. And I know that some of us are experiencing unprecedented worry and fear. You may have been laid off. You're freaking out. What am I going to do? How am I going to pay my bills? I'm struggling. Am I going to get sick? I'm grieving. I'm worried. All of these different things. But I'm here to tell you today that according to the scriptures and those who came before us, the product of unlimited mercy is endless expectation. Expectation that I have an inheritance in glory and in heaven that is beyond decay and beyond change. In other words, what the writer is saying and what the scriptures lead us to is that I'm going to be blessed either way. I'm either going to be blessed on earth, but if my blessing is blocked on earth, I'm going to receive my blessing in heaven. That no matter what happens to me and no matter what's taken from me, I've got eternity. So what I'm telling you today is get your hopes high. Get your expectations up. What are you doing during this time? What are you planning for during this time? What projects are you knocking out during this time? What are you listening for during this time? You might have just lost your job, but what company are you supposed to start when this ends? What job are you supposed to take? Could this disruption, like I discussed last week, lead you to something even better? I'm just telling you right now, you need to get your expectations up and you need to get your hopes high, because if you've received mercy, there's an inheritance for you. He says this in verse 6. He says, so be truly glad. I don't know about you. Sometimes when I read the scriptures, it rubs me the wrong way. Because he's about to go through the whole deal about trials and all kinds of stuff. And he's like, but hey, be glad. God bless you. It's almost like somebody who's like really good at like telling you that you're going to, you didn't do good at something. It's like, hey, I love you. You're nice. Your hair looks nice. Also, you're horrible. And then, hey, I love you. God bless you. Have a nice day. It's like, be glad. Well, I don't want to be glad. The world's falling apart. But he goes, there's wonderful joy ahead. Even though you must endure many trials for a little while. We don't like to read that kind of stuff in Scripture. Even though these trials, read this, pay attention to this, these trials will show you that your faith is genuine. Your faith under trial, under pressure, is being tested as fire tests and purifies gold. Though your faith is far more precious than mere gold. Far more precious. So when your faith remains strong through many trials, it will bring you much praise and glory and honor on the day when Jesus Christ is revealed to the whole world. I love that because at the end of the day, God's getting the glory. You're going to get redeemed. God's going to work it out. And that even though we got to go through some trials and even though we got to go through some pressure, there's some really good stuff that's going to come from it. And my responsibility in the middle of it is to somehow focus and hang on to that gladness and that joy. See, here's the thing. Right now is where the rubber meets the road. Like in the moment like this, we're going to find out who built their life on rock or who built their life on sand. Like, because when the trials come, you're either going to run away or you're going to run into the shelter of the Most High. But I'm glad that I'm covered under His wings and under His safe place. I'm just telling you right now that the trials, as hard as it is good for our souls. Because it's proving what our faith really is all about. It's proving, do you really love people or are you only self-consumed? It's proving, do you really pray for the world or are you really just praying for your needs? It's proving what matters to you and what your priorities are. I'm just telling you, the testing of our faith, that's where the good stuff comes from. And God's saying, not only is your faith powerful and beautiful, but it's more precious than the most precious metal on the planet. And I just think about how do I maintain gladness and joy in a season like this? And it just makes me think of the fact that there's no sports to watch right now. There's nothing but children's movies and Disney Plus. God save me. But also think about the fact that thankfully we have the NFL free agency and we can watch all sorts of weird things happening. Sorry if you're not a sports fan, it's all we got right now. But also I'm just thinking, like, I know that you don't like me for this, but it is what it is. Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback to ever play, and he's my favorite quarterback because I love his work ethic. And I just think about how crazy it is that he is leaving the Patriots after 20 years, championships, connection. I mean, it's just so wild to me. But what makes him so great and what I think I love him so much is he's so good at ignoring the noise. Like, and I'm illustrating this for you because I think this is the best way that I can describe maintaining and experiencing gladness and joy in a season like this. Because a quarterback is great because a quarterback can handle pressure. It's not just pressure because he's the most important player on the team and the most important position in sports, and pressure and media, and when he does good, he gets the praise, and when the team does bad, he doesn't, he gets slammed, all that stuff. But like, what makes a great quarterback is when the line is collapsing and he's sitting under pressure in this pocket, and you've got all these big, bad, strong men coming to eat you alive, and somehow a quarterback just stays in that pocket under this pressure and ignores it. He sees it in his peripheral. He knows what's going on. You should know what's going on. You should be educated, but he's locked in and focused on where he's got to throw the football. And he waits till the last moment until the right receiver breaks, that he just sits there long enough to release it to success point. And like, this is how we maintain our joy. This is how we experience our gladness. The pressure is coming, it's collapsing. But my job is to maintain focus on the blessed assurance that I've got Christ, and Christ in me is the hope of glory. And the world might be falling apart, and the economy might be tumbling down, and all kinds of stuff is happening, but I'm focused on the prize. And when I'm focused on the prize, I can experience gladness and joy. That is how it's done. I know what's going on. I see it, but I'm not looking at it. I see it in my peripheral. And what some of us have to do in this season right now is recognize that our faith is more valuable than all sorts of other things. We got to get our eyes off the pressure and start looking on the prize. Come on, somebody. I'm going to say that again so you can catch it. You got to get your eyes off the pressure and start getting your eyes on the prize. That there is an eternity, there's a hope, and I'm either going to get blessed in this life or the next. Peter says that there's wonderful joy ahead. He says that our faith is more precious than gold. More precious than gold. Is your faith precious to you? Or maybe you're watching this and you're going, I don't have a faith. And I'm scrambling and I'm looking for something. This joy that you speak of, this hope that you speak of, I want in on it. I'm telling you, there's mercy for you today. There's grace for you today. See, God offers grace and He offers mercy in an abundant way for every season that we're in. I watched my mom gracefully deal with the death of her twin brother. I watched my mom gracefully deal with the death of her mother. I watched our pastor Grace gracefully deal with the death of her mother. And for some reason, God offers a bounty of grace in times and circumstances where we need it the most. All we have to do is get our eyes off the pressure and get our eyes on God. In everything we serve an abundant God who offers sustaining grace in severe conditions. And the conditions are severe, but the grace is enough. The conditions are challenging, but His grace is an endless supply. I know you're struggling, but there is a mercy that's offered from glory. There's a heaven awaiting for us, but while I'm here, Paul says, for me to live, I'm telling you, I've got to produce fruit. I want to die and be with God, but I know that while I'm here, the struggle that I'm going through, I'm going to produce fruit because people are going to see that my eyes are on the right thing. My eyes are on the one thing. And God may not always alleviate the pressure, but He will open up a pocket so that you can see what matters most. and perspective begins to set up. He will give you grace in this season, and perspective begins to set in. I'm thankful for perspective in this season. I'm thankful for what matters. I'm thankful that I'm alive today, and my family's alive today, and even though we're not gathering in physical locations, I can still there's a lot more to be thankful for, even in the midst of severe conditions. And that's what we have. That's what our faith tells us. Paul writes this, and you need to read it, and you need to receive this, because maybe we're going through a lot right now, and I believe we are, but I don't know if we're yet at the place where you're going to be pulled out of your living room because you're a Christian and murdered because of it. And you got to think about what the pressure these guys were under. And he goes, but we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that this all-surpassing power or this grace is from God and not from us. Every victory is His. Every win is His. All of the influence is His. Everything He's given us, all the success comes from Him. I can't take credit no more, because in a moment the world comes crashing down and all I'm left with is my faith. He says, we're hard pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair. We're persecuted, but not abandoned. We're struck down, but not destroyed. We always carry in our body the death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may also be revealed in our body. For we who are alive are always being given over to death for Jesus' sake, so that His life may also be revealed in our mortal body. So then, death is at work in us, but life is at work in you. Therefore, I love a therefore, we do not lose heart. Do not lose heart. Though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. So now, we fix our eyes, not on the pressure that is seen, but on what is unseen. Since what is seen is only temporary, pain is only temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. What are you looking at today? You can be quarantined and freaking, or you can be quarantined and chill, knowing that this momentary affliction and the sorrow might last for the night, but joy is coming in the morning. And Peter, as he closes, he says this, and I'm closing with this as well, that you love Him even though you've never seen Him, and I feel that way. Though you do not see Him now, you trust Him, and you rejoice with glorious, inexpressible joy. I hope you worship today with inexpressible joy. Listen, the reward for trusting Him will be the salvation of your souls. That's the reward. And right now, particularly in our online church database, on our online church platform, there are prayer people ready to pray with you. If you have a prayer need, ask. We have not because we ask not. Pray. But most importantly, you might be watching this today and you used to have a relationship with God, but you're not with Him, you're not following Him. Maybe you used to come to church, you were connected, but you're not there anymore. Or you've never received mercy. You've never received Jesus. This is your moment. I'm telling you, I feel good today. I feel fired up today. I feel hopeful today because I know I have an inheritance, that mercy came to me. Therefore, expectation is high because eternity is mine. Do you want that kind of confidence today? And if that's you, wherever you are, you should just pray this prayer with me. It's not a magical prayer. There'll be next steps. Our hosts and our prayer team will help you with next steps. But I want you to pray this prayer with me today. Every person who needs to pray it, would you say this with me? Jesus, I need you. I receive your mercy. Give me this inheritance. I believe in you. Forgive me of my sin. I recognize my need for you. I am yours, and you are mine all the days of my life. In Jesus' name, amen. If you prayed that prayer, we believe you received salvation, which means you have an eternal hope that so far outweighs what we're facing today. We love you here at the Block Church. We can't wait to hear from you, and we will see you soon.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We believe that God used this message to speak something to you. We hope that you'll interact on our social media. If you don't already follow us, do that right now on Instagram or Facebook. And then help us by liking, commenting, or sharing. It gets the message out to more and more people. If you haven't already, download our app. It's the best way to get notified by us and to stay connected with all that's happening at the Block Church. If you haven't yet, now's the best time to give. You can do that by texting the Block to 77977, or I think the easiest way to give is through our app, or you can use our website as well. We love you so much, church. We can't wait to connect with you again.